Welcome to the Tactical Dad podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Cook, and I am the Tactical Dad. In this episode 44, episode 44, wow. We are going to talk about another specific aspect of scopes, optics, sights, whatever you want to call it. We're going to look at a particular part which you will see come up often if you're looking for a scope, or you're looking at new scopes, or if you're a beginner just trying to learn about scopes, what do you need, what's the right one for you, etc. You will come across field of view. So today's episode, what is field of view? And basically, field of view, sometimes it's abbreviated to be FOV. So if you see FOV on this, like a specification sheet or in the specs of the product listing, if you're looking online, if you see FOV, that's what it means, field of view. Field of view is basically the measurement of a target in feet at 100 yards. In other words, it's what you, as a shooter, what you can see from left to right. So if you've got, let's say it's just a dot that you have, let's say your reticle is just a dot. It's what you can see left and right of that dot. That's what field of view is. So it's important to know that what we talked about yesterday or a couple of days ago, magnification, where there's an episode on magnification. It's important to note that when magnification is increased, the field of view will decrease, because you're zooming in on your target, you're magnifying the target. So as a natural byproduct, your field of view, what you see left and right of the target, starts to decrease. So that's what it is. And what I found you should look for is what you don't want, so you should look out for it when you're buying a scope, is the tunneling effect. And this tunneling effect is when looking through the scope feels like you're looking through a tunnel as you increase the magnification. If you hear some noise, that's my dog walking around. He wants to go out in the backyard. So that's what tunneling is, and that's what you don't want. So that's where you can note the quality of the optic that you're looking at. If it's a cheap, crappy one, it's probably going to have that effect. And if it's not, if it's a well-built one, then it's probably not going to have too much of that tunneling going on. So that's something to be looked at. Field of view is always measured at 100 yards, mostly. And this is what that's the number that you typically see when you look at the specifications of a rifle scope. So again, I think every time we talk about specific aspects of gear, and especially scopes, since that's what we're going through mostly recently, is it all depends on what type of shooting that you're going to do. Because, if you're hunting, for example, if you're hunting, if like most hunters that are shooting game between 50 and 100 yards, then the highest levels of magnification aren't really required for that. So you got to figure out what are you using this scope for, and that will help better determine if you need a greater field of view or if you don't. And just note that magnification is tied into that. The greater the magnification, the smaller the field of view decreases. So that's what field of view is. We will go into more details about field of view the more I shoot with a rifle. I imagine that when I start doing when I do some precision long range rifle shooting, that's where scopes, sights really really start to get interesting, because you got to have some high quality stuff there when you're shooting hundreds of yards away. So that's all from me today. Thanks for joining me. That is field of view in, basic 101. That's what field of view is. Thanks for joining me. I will see you again in another episode.